Really just an outstanding job by our football team getting ready. I thought, as I've said to our guys, November, every game gets bigger. Every game gets bigger. Went through Penn State, then, had a bad loss to Ohio State, but still the Maryland game was a bigger game because it meant going to win 8. And this one was far significant because it was an opportunity to win 9, flip the script from last year. The guys got ready to go. Rutgers played very well, I thought, the first half, especially defensively. Kept us kicking field goals. Big play by Connor Hayward on the first touchdown. Beyond that, I know that possession time went heavy in our favor, and you got to look at that and, feel good about that if you're a coach on this end of the stick. But defensively played extremely well. Really 2 big plays in the game, and 2 sacks, 3 turnovers. So did what we had to do on defense, and then offensively just stayed balanced, really, when you look at us. The game sort of separated in the second half with some big catches, I think, by Cody White and Felton Davis, some 50-50 throws that were right on the money they had to make the play on. Just extremely thrilled for our football team and what they've been able to accomplish. And this did not start, tonight. This started last year, a year earlier, where we went back and started just grinding, formulating a plan, and figuring out what we had to do. And so put the script, and that was incredible for our team.
You are humble and do not like to talk about yourself, so I'll put this in about the staff in general.
Yeah.
Are you able to appreciate that, at least in my opinion, this was your best coaching job in 11 years as an entire staff?
Yeah, I can appreciate that. We've had staff continuity. Nobody left this program. We had a tough year, 3-9, followed by some incidents in the spring. So, we had to, our entire group, players, coaches, staff, administration, we all had to go in the same direction. We all had to just reunite, and I thought we did that, and it really started then. But yeah, very, very proud of our guys. Very appreciative.
Sorry. What led you to believe that you could flip the script?
Oh, I've never thought that we couldn't win a football game. Never, even last year. When we played Rutgers and won, and then followed it against Ohio State and lost on a 2-point conversion, basically, and then we're beating Penn State 12-10. So the positives, and I know it's tough for Coach Ash to look at this, but the positives are you're not that far away sometimes. You think you are because the score may indicate that, but you're really not. We had a tough time running the football. The turnovers made a difference. Our defense made a difference. Threw the ball a little more effectively in the second half. Ran the ball a little bit more effectively in the second half. But sometimes you're not as far as you think that you are. And I think it's a better football team certainly than it was last year. So I'm speaking of Rutgers, and I've got a lot of respect for him and the job that he does.
Mark, knowing that coaches and players seek perfection, is it still okay privately to say to yourselves or for the players to say to themselves 9-3?
Yeah, they can say 9-3. Part of me wants to say could have been 10-2. Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know if 10-2 gets you anything different than 9-3 right now. But again, just very happy for our football team, our players, families, everybody.
You talked about the stuff that happened in the spring. You lost, I think, 37 players between seniors and players that left with eligibility left. People came into the season wondering where the production was going to come from. And tonight, I think you had 19 players make tackles, 11 players with catches. Is that surprising to you, or does that sum up really well what this team is, what this season has been?
Yeah, it sort of sums it up. We have a small group of seniors who took control of our football team in a positive way. We had a large group of young players come in. We did a good job teaching them, and that young group sort of re-energized us in a lot of ways because there's some very positive people in that group. We had some sophomores or redshirt freshman players that took on leadership roles like Brian Lewerke and Joe Bocci. They're only sophomores. And, so that bodes well for the future. And the future looks bright at Michigan State right now. But we'll add some more players, and we'll keep pushing.
I'm going to tell you something you're not aware of, but it wasn't appropriate to ask till the season was over. Last off-season, an SEC school reached out to one of your staff, I don't believe you know this, and offered a significant raise to come, and they said they weren't looking to leave, but even if they were, not a chance in hell they would have left you after last year. I know that you're proud of your players, but what's that tell you about staff who, in this day and age where some people will leave for a buck, weren't going to leave you?
Yeah, we've had great staff continuity throughout our time here. Guys have left here and become head coaches or gone to the NFL. Other than that, they've stayed. That's one of the biggest reasons, maybe the biggest reasons that we've had success, that we've now won, 99 games in 11 years. And when you do the math on that, that's pretty significant. And that's because, over the course of 11 years, I think we've had five changes. I did not know that, but it doesn't surprise me. Very loyal to our coaches, and they're very loyal to me, and I appreciate that. We have a great group of, not just coaches, they're outstanding men, and they impact young people. On a daily basis, they impact them.
You talked about time of possession being heavy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's heavy.
seemingly it's an NCAA record. I mean, have you ever had a game where 47?
No, I've had some games the other way. But, 31 plays for 112 yards, that's difficult to overcome. And they've got a young quarterback playing, and you want to concentrate on that. And, he did some things. They hit us with the pass, and they're in the game. And it's 13-9, I think, 16-9.5.
Yep.
13.
So
7.
7, yeah, 7. I got that 9 number in mind. But 13-7 or 16-7.5, I guess. So it's a game. It's a competitive football game, and so message to our football team: let's go. Penalties were hurting ourselves. We were down there a little bit. We had too many penalties. It would take us back. We'd have to kick a field goal, or whatever the case was. But we got it in gear second half.
We're not going to get you to a bowl media day, so quick question looking ahead, Mark. Do you give your guys a couple days off, or do you stick right to the grind?
No, we're going to give them some time off. We'll probably do a little something on Thursday just to keep them in shape, and then give them the weekend off as well. Come back the next week a couple, and then maybe have a weekend, Friday, Saturday practice, maybe 7th, 8th. But our guys, we've gone, our bye was after the second week of the season, so we've gone 10 straight weeks of grinding, and I'm going to give those coaches a day off too.
How critical are those bowl practices, Mark, for such a young team? You still got a bunch of guys that still redshirted.
Yeah.
How critical are these for the future?
Yeah, they're very, very important, and it's also important for our players who are playing to experience a bowl and to experience what it's like, and to go play a great opponent, and another opportunity to play on national TV on New Year's Day, and those things don't come along often, and we have to run to them. We have to run to those things, and that was the message to our football team this week. Run to those bowl games. Don't sit there and wait for them to happen. You got to go get them, and that was the message to our football team. And we put a chip in our pocket and flipped it at the end, and here we go.
You talked earlier this year about getting something out of life, redemption, redeeming yourself, being great in any area of life. Does that make this one of the season that stands out as much as anything you've done?
It does. It probably stands out as much as any season that I've ever gone through, and I've been through some good seasons, very good seasons. But when you get up off the mat a little bit, when things aren't going so well for you, and you're able to sort of turn things and get people believing in a system or a goal, and everybody working towards a goal, whatever that goal is, there's a lot of meaningful moments in that. So it was great for us.
This may be an insensitive question, but did it feel in some senses like a restart just because you had so many young guys that it's like, okay, let's start from ground one again?
It did. A year ago Monday, I drove to Cincinnati, and it was 3.5, 4 hours in the car by myself, and that's exactly what I said. I said, I'm the new head coach here. What do we got to do? Get this right. And it was a restart. We pushed the restart button, and if people didn't believe in what we were doing, they had to make a change and start to believe.
Bear Bryant said his favorite team was his Junction Boys that hit 500. You have Rose Bowl teams, you have national titles at Ohio State, and a lot of players that you love like sons. Will this one, though, Mark, be special?
Yeah, it will be, as I said earlier, because when you go through a lot of different things, whether it's winning or losing, or in that case, a 3-9 season, or off-season things when you're up against it, and the credibility of your entire program is in flux. I won't say in question. I will say in flux. To be able to bounce back and do it the right way. We're doing well in school. We'd have no problems off the field. Now those things can change very quickly on you, but we went 9-3 now, and we have a chance to keep playing, and that's exciting for everybody.
tonight, today, it seemed like the statistics were so lopsided, but the
It's a lot closer than you think.
Yeah. But
You know, the last two drives sort of put it over the top.
Yeah.
You know, but, it's a lot closer than it feels a lot closer to me. I would have never said walking in here that it was 47 minutes, 50 seconds to 12:10. I would never said that, because it didn't feel like that in the
Didn't
game to
feel
me. I think the long drive at the beginning of the second half, the long drive at the beginning of the first half, and then the fumble and, those type of things, turnovers can lengthen your possession time, but it didn't feel like that. It felt very competitive until I'd say late in the fourth quarter.
Brian said even though as frustrated as he's been at halftime of the game this year, just not being able to take those opportunities and turn them into touchdowns, is there something did you notice anything from him, or is there something that you guys talked about specifically about capitalizing on opportunities and cleaning up mistakes?
At halftime,
Yeah.
we
Or
just
in
said
the
we got to go. Quit beating ourselves, with penalties as much as anything. And then, we had to get, our wide receivers made some great catches. They put the ball in the money where they could catch it, but they made some outstanding catches with guys hanging on them. And as I said earlier, Rutgers is an improved football team.
You
They
talked
should recognize that.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
You talked about time of possession. With all of the running you guys did in terms of comparison to the passing game, so much more, was that a focus for you? And how much of that, to some degree, has to do with you have gone 10 straight weeks. It is great to get your defense fresh so that they're not out there for extended periods.
We wanted to stay balanced. We always do. We need to be able to run the ball a little bit, move the chains. So, and then as the score became a 3-possession score, it became more like, okay, let's run the football, take some clock in the fourth quarter.
Mark, you feel like this secured New Year's Day though for you, basically? It's going to be
I
a tough
think it did.
matchup.
I think it would. Sure, it'll be a tough matchup. There aren't any easy matchups.
You're an appreciative person, and at Media Day privately, Brian, Chris Fry, and Gerald talked about they wanted to get the footing back in this program for you. All three talked about what you meant to them personally as men. And they were pretty emotional about leading up to this season, about what it meant to do this for you. I know the 9-3 is great, but to have the admiration, which not a lot of coaches get, Mark, from your players, can you talk about personally what that means to Mark Dantonio, the man, not the coach?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. I feel like that about them. That's why I've been here for 11 years. That's why we haven't left, because I feel the same way. And I think it comes back to you tenfold when you treat people like that. So we've always tried to treat people consistently and fair here, and disciplined, and tough love. So there is no easy journey, but I appreciate that very much. I've said it publicly before. I love our football team. I love our players. The young players that have come this year, they've infused some different energies into this program. We've got younger players that are playing that are redshirt freshmen or sophomores. I think we have 78 players that are sophomores or lower, and we're going to add some very good players here this recruiting class. So it's going to be an exciting future here for Michigan State football, and again, I'm very humbled to be a part of it. Still that.
Season high.
Does that,
Season high
you
four.
talked about program in flux. Does flipping the script mean to you that it's not in flux anymore? Does that sort of flip?
Oh,
is that what you're flipping?
You're always a work in progress. I think, I really do think you're always a work in progress. So we just need to make sure that we're responsible for what we're given, and that we just keep trying to overachieve. Just keep trying to take one step farther. Okay, we've got 9-3 this year. What can we do next year? And that's really what it's all about, because everybody always asks for more, and they always want more. You know that, don't you? They want one more right, one more column, and so that's what we'll just keep trying to do. Yeah.
I wish we were 10-2.
Ben, if this is okay, a follow-up, Mark, because you talked about that ride down to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Could you go a little more into detail on what thoughts you mulled that day in terms of getting this thing spun around?
Well, I thought about, okay, what do we got to do? Just in terms of, okay, let's start critiquing what we do. We're going to use bowl practice time to critique everything that we've done, not go into a bowl. So this is what we're doing, going to work. We're going to go back and go right into the weight room the week after. We had all the schedules off, from 2016 and 2017 we're up when we walked back into that building on Saturday after the Penn State game. And there was a plan put in place on this is what has to happen. Certain things had to happen, schematically or personnel-wise. So, but to sit there and say one thing, there was a lot of things going through your mind as a coach, you know, because it was difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy when you lose a football game. It's just not. You got to pick up the pieces, and you've got to be the guy, especially as a head coach. You got to be the guy to pick it all up and say, okay, hey, we're all right. Let's go. And that's what we did. And then it's got to filter down to our coaches, our staff, or then our older players, and it ultimately reaches everybody.
You talked.
And there's got to be a belief in place.
Sorry. You talked about closing on a high note to go into the bowl season. It's a season high point total. It's a season low in yards given up. Does that kind of accomplish? I know you always say.
Yeah, mission accomplished, I guess. Yeah. I will say this though, you know, our culture here, our culture overall, has been a very, very good one. And you know, the foundation was laid. You know, we've had some 13-win, 12-win seasons, 5 double-digit seasons here. So the foundation was laid. So what happened last year affected a lot of people in a negative way. And so everybody had to self-reflect. Not just myself, but our other coaches and our players. Everybody had to have some self-reflection there and decide, okay, this is what has to happen. And they just did a great job at it. And again, I'm very, very thankful.
The water's out. Were the showers working?
Water's out?
Yeah. The showers working, Benny?
They're working in there.
They were.
I'm sure they'll be all right. I don't have to take showers.